The water you see behind me is called the Limbe Strait, and during the day, you could find some of the most bizarre creatures on Earth living just beneath the surface. It is time to put on our tanks, get back on the boat, and head out. Let's get it. Heading down to the bottom. Today we are searching for the King Kong crab in an effort to be one of the first to film this newly discovered creature. This crab gets its name from its gorilla-like stance, which makes it look like King Kong watching over its jungle kingdom. To find one, we are diving in the middle of the Coral Triangle in Indonesia. Water visibility today is limited, which will make it even more challenging to spot this rare and elusive animal. The type of diving we are doing is called muck diving because of all the debris and loose sediment in this environment, but it is a prime location to find a King Kong crab. Heading down to the bottom. All right, first spot of the day. Not exactly the crab we're after, but it's a good sign that we're on the right track. That is an arrow crab, which blends in almost perfectly with its surroundings. Now, I don't know exactly what species of arrow crab this is. Many of the animals in the Coral Triangle are not yet documented by science, therefore are not yet named. Very similar to the King Kong crab. This is interesting. At first glance, you would think this is just an ordinary soft coral, but when inspected closely, you can see it's covered in tiny pink coral crabs. These crabs are using the coral for shelter from predators, but they also appear to be cleaning it, making their living arrangement a symbiotic relationship with the coral. They sure appear to be busy, and certainly are a very unique creature. So far, no signs of the King Kong crab, but we're not giving up yet. That right there is a nudibranch, and this area is famous for the variety of nudibranch species that live down here. Nudibranchs are sea slugs, which are typically very colorful and unusual in shape. And what's very interesting about these sea slugs is how different they look from one another. You can see that this one has yellow appendages that look like feathers sticking out of its head and its abdomen. Some sea slugs are completely covered in appendages like these. So bizarre. And while they are voracious predators, typically on the move, you can see that this pair in front of us are likely trying to make some baby nudibranch. So we're going to leave them be and continue our search for the King Kong crab. All right, lots of debris up there and many places to hide. Let's get down lower and really search this area well. There it is, guys. That is it. That is what we have been searching for, the King Kong crab. From the little information I've been able to dig up, this is also called a sponge spider crab. And from what I've seen out there from the few photos I've been able to find, this creature has never been documented on video before. So what you are seeing is likely the very first 4K footage of this animal. Its movement is very strange, and it almost doesn't look real. It's almost like an animatronic with those giant puffy arms and white specks for eyes. And when you look closely, its shell really does look like a sponge with all those pores and holes in it. And just behind it right there is another species of spider crab called the orangutan crab, which are much more common in these parts and seem to coexist with this species rather well. There it is. That is the iconic angle I have been looking for. You can see now why this animal has earned its nickname. Look at how it just stands there, proudly over its cliff with those massive arms out in front, just like King Kong himself. Now, these animals are predators, but they are screen predators, and they will skim the water for plankton and other small crustaceans to eat. You see all those tiny hairs along its arms? That's what it's using to screen the water, and will actually scoop in that motion to draw food closer to their mouths, which is just between those two small pinchers in front of the eyes. What's going on, guys? I just got done with the most incredible night dive where I had probably the coolest encounter I have ever had with a sea creature. Check this out. Tonight we are searching for the most bizarre creatures in this alien ecosystem that are both highly intelligent and very unusual, like the octopus and its cousin, the cuttlefish. There have even been reports of giant cuttlefish in this area, which I have never filmed before, and if we're lucky enough, we will try to get up close to some of these creatures to see just how smart they really are. You'll notice that I'm joined by a few other experienced divers in case you're wondering what the lights are in the background, because the biggest challenge with these night dives is having such a limited area to see. Unless the animals we're after are right in the path of our dive lights, we will miss them entirely. But one advantage we have is these lights are great for drawing out the creature's food. So sometimes the animals we're after are actually looking for us, just like bugs to a flashlight on land. And tonight, I have some really high-powered lights with me, along with multiple cameras that will capture every angle so you don't miss a moment. We are diving in a very unique place in the world called the Limbe Strait in Indonesia. It's the perfect environment to find the creatures we're looking for. So we'll start by sweeping the seafloor with our lights to help spot any movement or unusual shapes. All right, there's something right there. You see that? First spot of the night, one of our targets. That is the coconut octopus. Let's see if we can get closer. Usually you'll find these octopus buried in the sand with only their eyes uncovered, or hiding just inside of a clamshell or in a coconut, as their name suggests. It's uncommon to find them out in the open like this, which tells me this one is probably out hunting. Sometimes when these octopus are comfortable, they like to interact. So I'm going to gently stick out my finger to see what happens. Oh, quick touch. But it looks like this one is still a bit timid. It blends in almost perfectly, but you can see us being here is not distracting it at all. It is definitely still on the hunt. And anytime I get a little too close, you can see it fan out and puff up its body to make itself appear bigger and more intimidating. But let's try to get a closer look at some of its features. I mean, the first thing you notice about this octopus are the size of its eyes. Look how large its eyes are compared to its body. And on top of that, the texture is constantly changing. It goes from smooth to spiky in just a matter of seconds. All right, well, that was a super encouraging first encounter, but we're still on the hunt for the relative of the octopus, one of those big cuttlefish. Let's keep searching. Now, I am seeing something up there moving. Yes, that is it. That is definitely a cuttlefish, and a pretty big one too. Not the biggest I've ever seen, but it's worth getting closer. Whoa, and it's super fast. We'll need to move carefully and calmly as we approach. It's incredible how fast it can shift its coloration and its body position, especially for an animal that doesn't appear to have any way of swimming. But if you look around it, you can see that it actually has a fin. Its fin goes all around the circumference of its body. And look at that, it's trying to hunt that fish. I've never seen one hunt like this before. Oh! Lucky for that fish. Just tried to grab it, but it missed. And as far as I can tell, it doesn't mind us tagging along. I believe what we're looking at is actually called the golden cuttlefish. Their coloration changes from gold to dark brown, and then from white to yellow. They can also change the texture of their skin really quickly and go from a smooth football shape to a spiky pincushion in just a matter of seconds. and it's definitely taking notice of me. And look at that, it's turning toward me to face the lights. I'm just going to gently reach out my hand and see what happens. Whoa. Whoa. Whoa, stay away from the lights. These lights are super hot, so I don't want it to make contact directly with the light lens. All right. Stay there, bud. Stay there. Let me make sure my camera rig is okay. All right. Wow. The cuttlefish is swimming right into me, guys. Like, you can see that I'm not actually holding the cuttlefish. I'm just presenting a platform. Let's just film as much of this as possible. I've never seen or heard of any encounter with the cuttlefish quite like this. You can tell by its coloration that it is very calm and confident, and it knows I'm not going to hurt it in any way. I'm no longer being perceived as a threat to this cuttlefish, but I think as a friend, or at least an ally. There it goes. I don't think anything like this has ever been filmed before. All right, let me grab my dive rig. Up next, we're diving for the Limbay sea dragon, a bizarre dragon-like creature that has made this region world famous. This creature is so hard to find that it remained undetected until 2006 when it was first discovered. Information about it is still extremely limited, as they are notoriously difficult to find due to their size and the fact that they are fast swimmers. Only found in Limbay, this sea dragon is almost impossible to spot with the naked eye. So I brought with me a specialty lens for my camera that can magnify areas that we want to inspect closely. And there you have it, first spot of the day. That is a ghost pipefish, which are related to the Limbay sea dragon. These fish are also masters of camouflage, but since the creature we are searching for is so small, this one stood right out while scanning with our camera. It appears to be a delicate ghost pipefish, and the way I can tell that is by those weedy looking appendages underneath its snout and the lack of hair on the rest of its body. What a cool creature. You can almost see right through it, but look at all those vivid colorations, including those super vibrant eyes. So far, no signs of the Limbay sea dragon, but seeing that ghost pipefish tells me we're on the right track. We're down here today with some local divers that know this area well and have seen the Limbay sea dragon before. These rocky outcrops are perfect environments for them. They like to tuck into the crevices, and they also have the right kind of algae that they blend into. Okay, I'm getting the signal. There's something over there. This could be it. Alright, this is the right kind of algae. Let's scan this area well with our camera, and hopefully we can find one. I'm also going to need to use some attachments to steady the camera. We are so zoomed in that we have to keep the rig absolutely still. This is the main reason you've likely never seen this animal before. Finding them is a challenge. Filming them is a whole different ballgame that requires specialty equipment. Luckily, today we have the correct setup. Oh my goodness, there it is, the Limbe sea dragon. What a majestic and tiny little creature. Let's try to adjust the camera to get a good look at its face. As you can see, it's moving relatively fast for its size. I'm gonna have to try to track it until it stops again. This one seems to be on its own, but from what I've read, they usually live in pairs, sometimes up to 10 pairs in one area. So there's a good chance there's more close by. There we go. Now we're still. Despite having the name dragon, these are not that closely related to the Australian sea dragons that people are more familiar with. They are actually more closely related to the pipefish and seahorses that live in this area. So technically, these sea dragons are actually what's known as a pipe dragon. Ah, check that out. Those tiny bright red appendages are really interesting. They almost look like venomous spines or stingers. But I'm certain they can't do me any harm. Those are likely just for appearance to ward off predators. Oh nice, check that out, there's another one. They almost look exactly the same, but this one might be a touch bigger. It's really hard to show the scale on camera, but I cannot stress enough just how tiny this dragon really is. It's also extremely thin. It's only about 1/8 of an inch wide and just under 1 inch in length. It's almost the size of an algae-like eyelash, and it's super hard to keep the camera focused on it, since every small shift I make moves it out of view. Okay, it's moving again. It's so cool how it just drifts through the water. And it uses its fins, you can see right there on the back, to swim right along. But it really looks like a piece of algae. And then when it gets close enough, it can use its long tail to grab on and anchor to the next object. I've actually heard stories of people not realizing they've seen one until they review their photos after the dive, when they thought they were filming other animals only to be photobombed by the Limbe sea dragon. But I have to say, as far as a photobomb goes, the Limbe sea dragon is one I would welcome any day of the week. And there it goes. Today we are on the hunt for the batfish, one of the most bizarre creatures in the ocean. This fish is so strange you'll hardly believe it's a fish at all. To find one, we will dive under Florida's famous Blue Heron Bridge and search through piles of wreckage. This fish is going to be hiding from us, so spotting one will be a challenge. Do you see all of those spiky red worms? Those are painful to touch and are called fireworms. Fireworms are a real danger for any diver. Their needle-like spines are covered in a strong toxin that can sting and cause horrible pain. Underwater, it's an even bigger risk because the pain can cause panic attacks and difficulty breathing. If I were to get stung right now, it could be an emergency situation. Clearly they are everywhere, so touching anything without looking first is a terrible idea. Okay, that looks like a good place for a batfish to hide. Let's search over there. And I can already feel the current starting to come back, making it harder to swim forward. Because of the tides, there are only 2 small windows of time every day to even try to search for batfish. But because finding one is so rare, they are always the #1 target of anyone who dives here. Look, there's something hiding under that rock. It's a spotted moray eel. While most non-divers worry about sharks, actually it's these animals that are far more common and likely to attack. Alright, let's give this guy some space and keep searching for the batfish. Oh, check this out. That is an arrowhead crab. They are super strange and worth a closer look. At first glance, you might mistake the crab for a spider from outer space, but they are actually related to normal crabs. If we zoom in, we can see there are 2 blue pinchers near the front of its body. Oh, and look, there's a yellow spotted stingray. These rays can be extremely hard to spot because they are small and spend most of their lives buried beneath the sand. Like other stingrays, they have a razor-sharp barb along their tail and will sting if threatened. And just because we can see one doesn't mean there aren't others hiding around. Stingrays could be hidden anywhere down here, and is yet another reason we need to be careful anytime we touch the sand. Spotting all these other creatures is a great sign. The batfish could be close by. Oh, take a look at this spike ball. Sometimes they're confused for pufferfish because these burrfish are very similar looking. Yes, those spikes are super sharp and is why they don't have many predators down here. Even for the toughest fish, you don't want a mouthful of spines like that. The tide is coming back faster than I thought it would, and it's really hard to hold the camera steady. But I'm seeing something bright. Let's close in on those pillars. Oh wow, that is a giant yellow seahorse and a super rare find. I didn't even know we could find these here. If you look carefully, you can see it's covered in small black dots. And to handle these strong currents, seahorses use their tails to anchor on nearly anything they can grab onto, since they aren't very good swimmers. But that has to be the most colorful seahorse I've ever seen. Very cool, but we need to move on. Visibility is starting to get worse and time is really running out. There's definitely a lot of life down here, but still no signs of the batfish. Okay, this is the perfect habitat. Let's search this area well. Batfish are masters of camouflage. Still seeing fireworms everywhere. Just can't get away from them. All right, no luck in that pile. These sandy bottoms are probably our best bet with the remaining air. While it is common to find them tucked in debris, you can also see batfish in areas like this. Seeing something up near that wreck. Definitely some activity in the debris around it. Jeez, this wreck is absolutely covered in fireworms too. But what do we have here? Oh, that is a pair of spiny lobsters and a big sea urchin behind them. And right next to them is another arrowhead crab. Still no batfish. All right, it's time to get back on track. Seeing something now lurking behind that piece of rubble there. See it 4 meters away? Let's check it out. It's a sea robin, another bottom-dwelling fish that can actually walk. Truthfully, this is about as close as you can get to a batfish without actually being one. We need to be careful here. I don't want to scare it away too soon. Sea robins are fast when they want to be. Approaching now. Okay, this one is a northern sea robin and is right next to a bandtail puffer. He is watching me. All right, so their most unusual feature has to be their ability to walk on those spines, which are nothing more than modified fins, but they definitely look like legs. This fish could have easily been named the spiderfish. And as you can see, they use their legs really well to walk around so they can scavenge for food. Okay, he's thinking of fleeing now, and this is a good time to see the display of those wing-like fins. And there he goes, flying across the seafloor. When they deploy their fins, it allows them to move quickly for short periods, and they can glide along the seafloor, almost like the wings of a bird. Let's give this guy some space. We are still on the hunt for the batfish, and we're not giving up yet. All right, I'm seeing something there. Bingo! Target spotted. That is a batfish. Zoom in. All right, approaching. Let's see how close we can get. This is a polka dot batfish, a slow swimmer that can also walk along the seafloor using its two stubby fins as feet. I'm going to try to get even closer to show you how it blends in with its surroundings. They usually remain still to look like debris on the seafloor, which helps them ambush their prey when it swims too close. In this case, it's helping us get a lot closer with the camera. Whoa, here he comes, making a fast break. Let's try to follow and hopefully he'll stop again. This might be my only shot to see one of these. Okay, now for something really weird. I'm going to attempt to show off its gills, which are actually located behind its armpits. This might be a little tricky. There they are. The batfish gills are oddly located behind their fins, which helps them remain still and camouflaged. I have just above 15% air remaining, and every breath counts. Especially when you found one of the rarest animals down here and have more to see. You can really get a good look at its strange shape from this overhead shot. Check out that triangle body. Okay, here we go. Nice and calm now. Game on. Let's try to look for the most famous attribute of the batfish, their lure. Since they're a member of the anglerfish family, they are equipped with a built-in fishing rod just above their mouth that retracts in and out. Yes, it actually is a fishing pole that moves out of their face, much like a transformer. They use this lure to attract small fish and other animals that they can gobble up. Come on. One time. Oh! There it is. Did you see that? Let's play that back. What? It actually has a lure on the end of the rod that it flings out as well. I didn't even know that it could do that. Holy cow. I cannot believe how much it can transform its face like that. That is absolutely amazing and cooler than I could have ever imagined. All right, batfish footage secured and mission accomplished. All right, now we're going to start searching for a bizarre species of shark that can actually walk using its fins. So this search is going to take us all the way to the bottom. Our goal tonight is to dive down around 45 feet, locate a shark in the coral, and film it walking, which I have to say is likely going to be much easier said than done. These predators have actually been known to walk across shallow tide pools while hunting. It's even said that they might prefer to walk than swim, but due to their evasive behavior, they can be extremely difficult to film. We'll start by searching the seafloor in front of us for areas that have good hiding spots. We're diving at night because that is when these sharks are most active. And there's our first spot. That is a shovel-nosed lobster, and despite being bug-like and alien-looking in appearance, they're actually related to the more usual spiny lobsters. Super cool find for our first spot of the night. One of the challenges with night dives is that you can only see as far as your light will allow. It is truly pitch black on either side of me, so unless we hit the shark directly with our dive lights, we can miss it entirely, even if it's just a few feet away. So to help us out, I'm diving tonight with some experienced divers that know this environment well and can point us in the right direction. I will definitely rely on their help and guidance to find our walking shark. Okay, you see those slender fish? Those are a couple of giant pipefish. Almost like ghosts coming out of the shadows. Very cool. They almost look like they're just floating along. That right there is a spiny lobster, related to the shovel-nosed lobster we just saw, but look at the colorations on that one. That is truly a unique creature. And it's tucked into the reef very similarly to how we would see a walking shark. It almost looks like a mantis shrimp, the way it has all those pinks and greens. Okay, let's keep searching. All right, we're getting the signal. There's something up there. This could be it. This could be our walking shark. Let's get a little bit closer. Yes, there it is. That is the walking shark. What a cool creature. All right, it's tucking itself back into the reef. They definitely are invasive. Let's try to work our way around and get another angle so we can get an even clearer shot. Oh man, it seems like we're playing a game of hide and seek here. I almost had it, but it tucked right back in. We're gonna have to keep trying. I can see that it's actually walking on the seafloor. It's pretty unique, and even though these fish can possibly swim, they are almost always observed walking on their feet. Gosh, it's getting a little disorienting, working our way around in circles here, in and out of these coral caverns. There it is, you can see its face, but it's still tucked in a little too deep for a good angle. Let's just position, there it is, got it. And that walking movement is possible through an evolutionary adaptation with their pectoral and pelvic fins that allows them to move along the bottom. And even though they can swim on the coral just fine, we have to be careful to not bump the coral on tonight's dive. It is very fragile, and I weigh a lot more than a walking shark. All right, get a good look at the face. Let's see if I can reposition. Okay, I see where you're going. We're gonna move around this coral head and we're gonna get our shot. Here we go. All right, looks like it's calming down, and there we have it. That is the walking shark and the shot we are after. Look at those beautiful colors and patterns. It almost shimmers and reflects against the dive lights. look at that eye. You can see it almost has like a cat eye. And while it definitely is a shark, this is about as unique of an observation as you can have, seeing a shark actually walk with its fins. And there it goes. All right, I'll let it continue its evening walk. What a cool find out here in Raja in Indonesia. This is Mark Vins, the Aquanaut, over and out.